Good day, whatever time zone you're in. Today, I'm going to be talking about children's health in the Solomon Islands, one of the remotest and poorest countries in the world. I'm a PhD student from University of Queensland in Brisbane, and my name is Claire Brereton. And Matteo Pedicini, who's well known to the University of Bergen System Dynamics community and for his work on the ISDG model, is one of my advisors. The Solomon Islands is a country in the Western Pacific with a total population of about 600,000, the largest of the Pacific Island states. It's only about 3 hours flight from Brisbane, so in Australian terms, they're our neighbours. But in standard of living, they're a world away, a least developed country with most of the population living without electricity and 2/3 without any sanitation. That's no toilets, just a field or a beach. In 2016, 193 countries pledged to leave no one behind when they adopted the Sustainable Development Goals. But right now, the Solomon Islands are getting left behind in key health targets for children. 1/3 of kids are malnourished or stunted, and under 5 mortality is not improving, with major causes of childhood death being diarrheal disease and malaria. So why, whilst childhood death rates are decreasing worldwide due to advances like immunization, reduced poverty, and better healthcare, are the Solomon Islands not improving on their key child health indicators? It's a complex issue of environmental degradation, remoteness, high birth rates, and lack of the most basic infrastructure, increasing storms and flooding due to climate change, and reinforcement of poverty. This is just one part of a larger CLD, but the bold arrows on this CLG show one of the major loops, R1, with poverty leading to lack of access to basic water supplies. Sufficient, easily accessible water is a prerequisite for good sanitation, for flushing and hand washing, so open defecation becomes the norm. This spreads enteric disease, diarrhea, and worms, and encourages mosquitoes to breed, another loop I'm not showing today. Repeated bouts of disease make malnutrition worse, and ill health affects children's school attendance and cognitive ability. This keeps people uneducated and reinforces the cycle of poverty and population growth. So I mapped my CLD to the ISDG model, which some of you may be familiar with. I took some of the core modules and built some more of my own so I could put in more detail on my specific health focus areas. This is a sample of some of my results so far. On the left-hand side, you can see here that population has been steadily growing during the time frame of my model, stretching resources across the board. Effort has been put into better water supply, particularly for the rural population, but investment is currently being outpaced by population growth and infrastructure degrading, as the black base case water access line shows. The number of people using sanitation is well behind water supplies. Poor people prioritize food over toilets, and a big investment is needed to meet the Sustainable Development Goal of available wash for all by 2030, even with family planning investment stabilizing population. This lack of water and sanitation will stop the under 5 mortality rate from improving over the next 10 years. My model shows that the improvements since 1990 have basically stopped. Historical mortality data is in green here, and you can see just how erratic it is. Almost definitely, it is underreported and incorrect. And one issue with modeling in a country like the Solomon Islands is that there is so little primary local data for historical comparison purposes. Data from global sources tends to be extrapolated from other countries and is not necessarily accurate, although if you put confidence bounds on here, you'll find that the model results fit in the upper confidence bounds. So the investments in water sanitation and family planning I've mapped out on the left-hand side with the dotted lines do lead to a drop in under 5 mortality, which will achieve the Sustainable Development Goal targets in that area. That's my time out, so I think I'd like to hand over for questions, and thank you for listening.